everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where we do painting tutorials. Today I thought I'd do some negative painting, which I don't believe I've done previously on the channel. I want to do a very simple bookmark, so I start by loosely coloring the whole background with some quinacridone rose using my watercolor reservoir brush. Now you don't need to use these colors and you don't need to use this kind of brush. This is just what I had in my pencil case to do this little experiment, if you will. Then I go around the rose with some phthalo green because when these two colors mix, they give a very nice purple/lavender shade. These are the only two colors I will be using throughout the whole painting. So I let them mix into each other to get a very soft first layer for our background, and I let it to fully air dry. Once it has dried, I outline some little butterfly shapes with the quinacridone rose. If drawing is not your thing, there is going to be a traceable, traceables plural, because we will be doing several layers of these that overlap. It's going to be available over at my Patreon page, Sunshine Arts, where we also do full-time painting tutorials and digital downloads of my paintings. If you're interested in any of that, links are going to be available down in the description, along with a full list of the art supplies I have used throughout this painting. Now back to us. I like to alternate the quinacridone rose with the phthalo green. So if I start with rose, I'm going to switch to green, and also if the background color is rose, then I will use green, and if the background color is green, I will use rose. I just thought this would be a very fun way to get that lavender undertone by layering the colors over each other with each layer. Again, you don't have to do it like this. I just thought it would be a cool experiment to do. I don't tend to use the colors straight out of the pan. I do dilute them slightly by pressing onto my brush's handle to release more water, because I want the first initial layers to be very faint. That way when I add my final layers, which are the ones that are going to be the most saturated, you'd still be able to see the butterflies in the background, the ones we're doing right now. If I were to use very saturated tones right now, then I would not be able to layer more darker bits. You can always go with a bright tone and further darken it up and further saturate it, but once you go with a very strong color, it is very difficult to fix that. Especially if you're using cheap paper and staining colors like I am right here. I like to make the butterflies each in a different position, so one is on the bottom, one is facing the right side, one is facing the left side, one is flying straight in front of us. I like to do them all different to give a bit more depth and make the painting a bit more interesting rather than having all the same butterflies all over it. And lastly, I just finished this layer, the top corner, with some more pink and some more green, going carefully around the butterflies. It's very important that you leave the space for them right now, but once we start adding the darker layers, these very bright butterflies are really going to pop. Now I'm going to leave this entire layer to air dry once again. I don't like using hair dryers or heat guns because I think, well, at least in my experience, they don't distribute the water very well and you end up with rough patches over your painting. And when it air dries, it does tend to look softer, which is what I prefer, but it's completely up to you. Feel free to do whatever you prefer. Once my layer has dried, I go back to my quinacridone rose and I outline the butterflies I already did. I've lightly sketched some new butterflies with a normal graphite pencil. You can also use a watercolor pencil for this, a pink one or a green one or a light blue one that's going to dissolve once you paint over it. So other than the previous butterflies I already did, I'm going to paint around the new ones to create a new layer. There's going to be a middle tone, so not as bright as the previous ones. And I'm just building up my pink and my green here. If I get some paint where I don't want, just pick it up with a tissue. If two butterflies tend to overlap, I'm going to give way to the prior butterfly from the initial layer. I'm not leaving any space for the butterfly's head and the antennas, just because I thought that would be too tedious and I just wanted to try out this process right here. Like I said, I don't believe I've ever done negative painting on my channel. So I just want something very simple and easy we can do on the weekend together. Also, you can use just one color for this entire painting, but I believe a color combination would make things look a bit more interesting, especially if those colors go together nicely. You can see how that initial butterfly that's facing the left side really pops compared to a darker background, which was what I was trying to achieve here. Add one final butterfly to the bottom right corner and finish it off with more green and more pink. Again, I like to layer pink over a previous area that has been green, and I layer green over an area that has been previously pink. I'm doing this to achieve that purple mix these two colors give. Once everything has fully air dried, I repeat the same steps one final time. I'm going to draw a couple more butterflies with a normal graphite pencil like you see me doing here. And other than making them all different shapes and all facing different direction, I do try to make them all different sizes. Sort of like when I paint trees and random landscapes, how I always tell you, make some trees smaller, some are larger, some are wider, some are tiny, they're all different. And this is the same principle I'm trying to follow right now. Once I've decided where I want to lay out my new butterflies, again, same principle, I start with some quinacridone rose, go around the previous butterflies I've already painted, well, painted around them in my previous layers. I'm alternating my green and my pink so the whole bookmark does not end up being entirely pink or entirely green, but also not entirely purple. I still want some areas to look distinguishably pink and some to look green, and at bits I want you to see that purple mixture of the two. And keep in mind, normal red and normal green do not make purple, they make a brownish icky color. It's specifically a cool pink tone like rose madder, like opera pink, and a very cool green like phthalo green that give you this purple / lavender tone. I think I made a whole video about mixing reds, where basically just don't use a warm red tone with a green or a blue, because I just don't think the color combination is very pleasing. Just get a cool red, or just if you really want to use a warm red like cadmium red, use other warm tones like an orange, a yellow, tones that complement it. Or you can absolutely do this painting monochromatic, meaning just with one single color. You can do this in whichever is your favorite color to get a very nice value study out of this. And apologies if the light changes throughout this video. I was filming in front of my window / glass door and the weather was changing, so that's why the lighting was changing throughout filming. I'm going to try not to speed up this video too much so it does not bore you. And with that being said, I just go around the final couple of butterflies here, finish off this painting, and then I'm going to slowly peel the tape in the opposite direction to avoid any tearing. I'd like to give a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters for the month of October. If you found any value in this video, please let me know by commenting, liking, and if you have not already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching and we'll see each other in the next one. Bye bye.